Even though these stories are great, I must place in a warning. The great manga artist Shungiku Nakamura was able to give us a remarkable story of 3 yaoi couples, each of them living their lives in real-life scenarios that we all can find more believable compared to other yaoi stories. Most yaois just consist of the main couple meeting each other, have 2 seconds of development, and then BAM! Yaoi is born. In these stories, you feel more connected with the characters as you watch them live out their daily routines and fall passionately in love with each other. Okay, in the manga, there is a lot of action in them pages, but you can always turn to the anime if you can't handle that. Anyways, I'm here to review Nakamura's great work, Junjou Romantica. Or is it Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi? Yeah. Nakamura was able to use the same 3-couple scenario in both yaois. So I guess in this review, I can not only review both, but I can also pick which one I think is better. Yep, this is Junjou vs. Hatsukoi. Let's start with each of the anime's first couple. In Junjou Romantica, the first story is between Misaki Takahashi and Usami Akihiko. Misaki one day stumbles upon Usami hugging his brother Takahiro. Yeah, good luck with that whole first impressions thing. Misaki wanted to avoid him, but in order to get into M University, he needed the great literature genius Usami to teach him. They get along fine as friends, and he makes it into M University, but Misaki began to like Usami more and more, and didn't know what to do since he knew Usami liked Takahiro. When his brother announces his engagement to his female fiancé, Usami is crushed, and Misaki knows it. He takes Usami away and starts to cry over the situation, saying how cruel his brother was to Usami. Shocked by his reaction, Usami falls in love with Misaki, and decides not to lose him to anyone. In Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi, the first couple is between Masamune Takano and Onodera Ritsu. Onodera transfers to the Animal Press to become a literature editor. However, the only position available is in the shoujo manga department. Wah wah. A job is a job, so he takes it and meets his new boss, Takano. Takano is a hardcore worker who works his people to the ground, but if it wasn't for him, the Animal Press wouldn't be there. As Onodera is getting used to the work field, Takano can't escape the feeling that he knows Onodera from somewhere. After Takano finally realizes who Onodera is, he decides to tell him. Well, first he molests him, and then he tells him. Go fan service! Apparently, Takano was known as Saga Masamune in high school and was Onodera's old lover. Oh snap! Through misunderstandings, Onodera broke off the relationship and avoided Takano for 10 years. After realizing it was all a misunderstanding, Takano vows to Onodera that he'll make him fall in love again. Onodera swears back it'll never happen, but even he doesn't know how to feel. Even though I like both couples, and I really do, I have to give this point to Hatsukoi. Why? Cause that's an amazing background! In Junjou, I can understand why Usami's desperate to keep Misaki, and Misaki is learning how to fall in love for the first time. That's a good story, don't get me wrong. In Hatsukoi, they were in love. They had a strong relationship in the past that broke up due to a misunderstanding. You feel for Takano because he truly loved Onodera, and he never gave up that love. In fact, he had been searching for Onodera ever since they broke up, and after 10 years of searching, he just happens to become his new underling. As I read the manga and watched the anime, I always went back to that scene where Takano realizes who Onodera is. It's just an amazing reaction. That look in his eyes is just indescribable. Finally, after 10 years, I found you. And now, I want you back. It's an amazing and emotional story, so that's 1 point for Hatsukoi. Now on to couple number 2. In Junjou Romantica, the second couple you meet is Hiroki Kamijo and Noaki Kusama. Hiroki was desperately in love with Usami. Yeah, these stories tend to intermingle with each other. Oh, and believe me, this guy was desperate. He knew he could never obtain his love, so he just had to stand by as his best friend. One day, Hiroki sits around in the park thinking of Usami. As he starts to cry, a bottle rocket falls from the sky and nearly hits him. Naoki approaches Hiroki to make sure he's okay, only to see his crying face. From that day on, Naoki knew he had to be with Hiroki. He asks Hiroki to be his tutor, but Hiroki won't submit to it. With Naoki being persistent, however, Hiroki finally agrees to tutor him. During one session, Usami shows up to check up on Hiro. Hiro starts to get emotional, but before he lets out, Naoki grabs Hiro and says, "He's mine." Hiro doesn't know what to say, but through Naoki's loving words, he was finally able to let go of Usami and start a new love with Naoki. In Hatsukoi, the second couple is between Chiaki Yoshino and Hattori Yoshiyuki. Chiaki is a manga artist making manga for Emerald Press. Hattori is his manga editor working for Emerald Press. Again, more intermingles! Chiaki and Hattori have been friends for years, but along the way, Hattori grew feelings for Chiaki. Chiaki, however, is a bit naive and absent-minded. Here we go. It took some time, but once Chiaki realized how much Hattori loved him, he decided to give the relationship a try. However, Chiaki's assistant Yu Yanase also has feelings for Chiaki. Hattori knows that, but Chiaki doesn't. He just thinks of him as a good friend, and doesn't know why he can't get along with Hattori. Huh, we've got a bright one here, don't we? So Chiaki has to find a way to sort through his feelings while trying to preserve both relationships. Between these two, the point definitely goes to Junjou. Hiroki and Naoki really have a strong love that you're just really rooting for. Chiaki and Hattori? Well, you get kind of annoyed with Chiaki being Mr. Naive. You have two guys after you, but you don't seem to acknowledge their feelings. I'm sorry, but Chiaki can be a real jerk. Hiroki and Naoki are actually my favorite couple in Junjou. Hiroki can be very hot-headed and stubborn, but when Naoki holds him and whispers in his ears, Hiro just melts. No matter the struggle or differences, they can't help but fall in love. Point goes to Junjou! It's a tie right now, so let's analyze the final couple. In Junjou, the third couple is Yo Miyagi and Shinobu Takatsuki. Miyagi works alongside Hiro at M University and recently went through a divorce. In fact, he actually divorced Shinobu's sister. Awkward. So what does Shinobu do? He marches up to Miyagi and says, "Take responsibility." Huh? This is his way of saying, "You can love me now." Yeah, and to make things more awkward, the dean to the university, Shinobu's dad, asked Miyagi to let Shinobu stay at his place while he's in Japan. He would stay at the family manor, but he doesn't like his sister. Shinobu's got issues. Anyways, as awkward as it is, Miyagi lets Shinobu stay at his place. We also learn that Miyagi is trying to let go of his past love when he was young. He fell in love with his teacher who passed away due to an incurable illness. This has caused Miyagi to have one failed relationship to another. Slowly yet surely, Shinobu finds a way to get into Miyagi's heart, so Miyagi decides to give it a chance. Oh, and they're 17 years apart! It's crazy! Naoki and Hiro, 4 years. Usami and Misaki, 10 years. Miyagi and Shinobu, 17 years. Crazy age difference here. Can you think of a crazier age difference than... Touché. In Hatsukoi, the third couple is Shota Kisa and Ko Yukina. Another age difference story, but it's only by 9 years, not 17. Anyways, Kisa is a manga editor for Emerald. His romantic background is falling in love with a pretty face. Well, at least he's honest. This means he has a little black book of past relationships. Sometimes they call him if they ever want to hook up, if you know what I mean. As fun as these relationships were, Kisa could never fall in love. One day, he meets with a bookstore employee, Yukina, who is pretty much a cutout prince character in a manga. Yeah, he's that hot. The Kisa grows feelings for him, but doesn't want to bother him since his reasons for love aren't romantic at all. However, once Yuki finds out that he's a manga editor, he wants to form a friendship. Many meetings come by as Yuki helps Kisa market his manga better. Kisa couldn't be happier to be with Yuki, but this makes him more anxious. During one outing with Yuki, Kisa dozes off in his mind just staring at Yuki. Once he snaps out of it, Yuki dives in for the kiss. Ooh! It turns out Yuki wanted to find his favorite manga editor, which turned out to be Kisa, and ended up falling in love with him. Kisa tried to tell him his faults and why they shouldn't be together, but all Yuki wants him to do is to try and fall in love for the first time. The final point between these two, as much as I love both animes, I have to give this final point to Hatsukoi. Why? Because I just can't understand the relationship between Miyagi and Shinobu. Their chapters are literally called Junjou Terrorist. How is that romantic? Shinobu stalks and harasses Miyagi constantly and they end up together? What is Miyagi thinking? I want to get over my past love, so I'll hook up with this ninja stalker. By the way, Shinobu's a Japanese name for ninja, you know. I just couldn't understand the relationship at all. With Kisa and Yuki, you want Kisa to finally find love. He thinks he can only fall in love with a pretty face, and the relationships he makes only last for a little while. He thinks he's hopeless until Yuki comes into his life. Yuki has a bright and energetic personality that every girl would fall for. Kisa thinks he doesn't deserve such a wonderful person, but Yuki tells him otherwise. This relationship just seems a little more believable compared to the ninja and his soon-to-be prize. Another point for Hatsukoi. Even though both series are really good with awesome relationships, I have to say Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi has to be better. The stories are better, the relationships are better, and the characters are better. This doesn't mean you don't have to watch Junjou because, like I said, they're both really good. If you want to watch two amazing yaois with amazing stories and realistic relationships, watch Junjou Romantica and Sekai Ichi Hatsukoi. Hope you enjoyed this 2-for-1 review. For more updates on Anime America projects, just go to our Facebook page and like us. If you wish to support our production by purchasing our merchandise, just go to www.cafepress.com/Anime America Podcast. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to Anime America.